everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Brittany Harlow, lead journalist, and director of VNN, Verified News Network. Hope I'm coming in okay. We're starting like 5 minutes late, but one thing that I am kind of like learning as I go through this process of live streaming and this production and everything that goes into this is um, I feel like live streaming is like weddings. And so, I mean, they're scheduled to start on time, but do they always start on time? To be honest, I don't watch a lot of live streaming. I am like constantly in the news space when I'm not working, like on my house and my family stuff. So, to be honest, I am not 100% sure how all this works, but I kind of feel like not starting on time is something that maybe I shouldn't be stressing out so much about or starting on time. I had a new mic. Me and my husband both work from home. And so we've actually been, I'm stubborn and I haven't ordered a new mic for myself yet. So we've been like switching back and forth. And I was like, oh, I'll have plenty of time to set up tonight. But then my 2-year-old decided to take an extra hour of going to sleep. He's going through some stuff. It's really hard being 2 years old. And so, yeah, he took an extra hour going to sleep. And so that hour kind of dug into what I'm doing. And that is what brings me here to you on Wednesday night. I'm not sure when you're watching this. If you're watching it live, thank you for being a part of this process with us. I'm going to be incorporating in the future something that I wanted to do tonight, but I just didn't have time because I'm always kind of thinking about, oh, it'll easy. I'll just throw something in there. And with my like hour already cut, I hopped on and I was like, oh, let me just kind of pull up our browser so that I can scroll our stories with everyone and talk about them. But that didn't happen, and it's not as easy as I imagined in my head that it would be. But that is something that I really want to do in the future. I do want to just kind of take a second to tell you a little bit about us. If this is the first time that you're just happen to be scrolling through YouTube and discover us and who we are an independent news network that is specifically dedicated to empowering women, minorities, and entrepreneurs through news media. And it didn't necessarily start off that way. It was just independent journalism, stories that we do also a lot of, true crime stories and interesting things that we're not hearing anywhere else. But we really like zeroed in on those three pillars of coverage because they're so underrepresented in traditional media and local news, national news, all across the board. So we really love telling stories that you don't hear anywhere else. If my voice sounds a little jagged, it's because I'm getting over being sick. I've been sick for like 2 months. It got really bad when I went on vacation. I don't know, like 2 weeks ago or something, or maybe it was a week ago. I don't really remember. I don't have a good concept of time right now. But when I came back, before I left, I did a stream, and then I was like, oh, I'm going to try to, hop on next week wherever I am, the East Coast somewhere and do a live stream. But unfortunately, I couldn't even talk, and I feel like I'll probably never be able to talk good again. And I'll just sound like this forever. But so bear with me. I'm going to try to go as long as I can. But anyway, please, I'm going to be updating and like checking my email as this is going on. And so if you have any questions or if you want me to mention anything, send the email to me. It's right there on the screen, bharlow@verifiednews.network. And you'll also see an image there that talks about verified newsies and verified news leaders. I consider anyone a verified newsie that cares about verified news, whether that's verifying news and information, following the news and information, that we're verifying and reporting. We also have our verified news leaders that are going the extra mile, and, subscribing to our premium Substack, which if you have done that, we have a couple. We've actually just this last month have started releasing the premium content that's just for verified news leaders, and so that's really exciting. Before I get too crazy, I want to go ahead and throw this link up on FB because I didn't do that last time. Our premium Substack, which if you, whoa, I don't know if you could hear that, but it's kind of hard hearing myself talk as that's going on. All right, cool. I'm going to share it on Verified News. And so if you're following us on any of our social, or if you want to, we are the VNN app on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, because that's where our stories live. It's where they live, or where they originate. They live all over the place, hopefully, in our communities where we need them most. But they live on the VNN app, which is located at app.verifiednews.network. And I'm really not good at doing two things at once, especially with minimized screens. All right, there we go. Just had to get on the page. So I'm just going to take a second and share this on our Facebook page. And so tonight was an exciting night because it's the end of the month, which is always a trying time because that's when we put out. We have a lot of stuff going on, setting up or concluding stories, getting the last minute stories in for this month, setting up stories for next month. We have a huge story that's coming up that's going to be posted in less than 1 week that I've been working on for a very long time. And so I'm really excited that is, after like 4 months, coming into fruition so that we can share that with you, this really incredible story. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to get into it tonight. I'll probably be posting about it. Well, I would say like talking about it next week. I want to do these live streams every week because I'm very uncomfortable. I want to get more comfortable because I feel like once we break through that uncomfortableness, then we can really do some problem solving, do some community work in these spaces of, female issues and entrepreneur aspirations and building up and empowering minorities. And I feel like all of that is so important. But one thing that really holds me back, I think, is that I'm very comfortable behind the scenes, but maybe not so much in front of the camera. Like, I want to say that my most favorite part about being an independent journalist and doing things my way now is that I don't have to be, or thought I didn't have to be on camera all the time and up in the public, and I could just be behind my computer and be behind the microphone and telling stories. But I'll definitely get more into that tonight. That, isn't really fair of me because I'm not asking you to put yourself out there and be front and center. You can send me emails and send me stuff behind the scenes all day long, and I'm very grateful for that. But I am asking a lot from our verified newsies and from our verified news leaders, everyone in our verified news community, and that is to put their trust in me as someone who has integrity and who is working as a journalist for their good. And so I feel like I haven't been really considering that as a trade-off. And if I am, asking you to do something really uncomfortable and you to take a leap of faith and you to get out of your comfort zone, maybe you're not trusting any news, maybe you hate all news, maybe you don't watch the news at all, and I want to say the more I've gotten into this space, the less I do watch, mainstream news and other news, because a lot of it doesn't serve me and a lot of it I don't need, but there are a lot of stories that deserve to be told and need to be told and need to be heard. And so that's kind of where you come in, as far as coming to me and listening to me and engaging with me, and kind of believing me as a person, because that's a huge issue right now too. It's like, not not knowing who to believe or what to believe, and I'm right there with you. But I cannot expect anyone to trust me or believe in me as a source of news and information, if I am hiding, which is, kind of insulting. But, the truth, is often insulting sometimes, but there we are. And so I don't want to hide behind the camera and the microphone anymore. I want to be in front of it, here, accessible, so that we can work together, to tackle these issues together, instead of, I guess, scrolling, which ideally, I would want to do, which would be scrolling on, through our stories that we're working on right now. I can kind of pull it up and show you what this, app that we have looks like, there on the screen. It's a news feed. It's located at app.verifiednews.network. We had a really great amount of stories, this month. We're really like blowing up as far as our capabilities and the work that we're doing. I'm gonna lose my voice if I don't do that. But and this water, like this water is from last night. Like, I did not have time to get my stuff together. um, no, it's great. Water is water, even if it's been sitting here for 24 hours and has a little dust in it. But anyway, we sent out Timia this month. If you're just new to our verified news community, we sent it out, probably 20, 30 minutes before, I went live here. And it is, basically a monthly roundup of not always the top stories, because we have a lot of a lot of really good, successful stories. And even after I produced this and got it uploaded, I was like, dang, there were these two stories that I wish I had put in there, because it just, it seems so long ago that they happened, but they were this month. But so if you go to app.verifiednews.network, you'll see all of the stories there, and that you can scroll. You can select different categories. But Timmy is essentially just highlights a few of them in a 2 to 4 minute video every month at the end of the month. And so that is available a couple of different ways. It's held through our Substack, which you can see on the screen. It's verifiednews.substack.com. So you can, if you're not subscribed on our channels and stuff, you can hop on over there and see the Timia. It's, like I said, a video broadcast that we put together every month, a newscast. And then Rachel, our VNN Michigan journalist, if you're watching, she did an awesome job. And so we have a couple of journalists that really go above and beyond every month. And so they also support us and help this greater effort by, anchoring Timia once in a while. And it's very appreciated, especially when we have these huge projects like that I mentioned before, that was, 4 months in the making. I'm going to go ahead and also now share my, oh no, Facebook, you're killing me. It's been so fun navigating Facebook, and with all the changes that happen. And when I first started building the VNN app, I want to say 3 to 4 years ago, I wanted to have maybe not all the features and functions of Facebook, because there's a lot of stuff there. But that's what I went in there. I was like, man, I want to, I want to have all the bells and whistles, and I want all these cool things. But, Facebook, they just really have their stuff together. But ever since, like, I think I've got like a little bit snooty, like, man, Facebook, this doesn't work, or I'm trying to share from this page to this page and I can't click go. And so, everyone, it kind of is comforting though, because everything's glitchy, and so not the VNN app, of course. If you go there, you won't find any glitches, but check it out. It's definitely, all local news. That we have our work from our independent journalists in there, but one of these days, maybe as early as no, sorry, not next week, maybe the week after. Next week, I really want to talk about this story that has been, 4 years in the making, like I had said. 4 years, well, kind of, because our company is, 4 years old, and this is exactly what we're designed to do. But this story specifically has been 4 months. So, keeping it together here. I'm surprised that I still have my voice, and I'm very grateful for everyone that's tuned in. Feel free to throw me a message in the chat. I'm kind of keeping all my eyeballs on these two different screens. I think we're doing pretty good here. So, October. I wanted to prepare you for something that's probably coming before the next live stream, and I'll probably talk about that too. We've already discussed the fact that I really want to scroll through stories and talk about stories as they're going. I don't know how long my voice is going to last. I'm up here. I have saved the VNN app to my home screen there. And there's been so many stories that I've, worked on, and that our journalists have worked on, and our news affiliates have worked on, that I want to dive into all of them. I want to talk about all of them. But the thing is, that's why I'm really great that we have this weekly live stream that we're going to be doing, because I get to do that every week. And so I get to tell you about stories like Co-working Bravely that I just did. And I think I posted it today. The days are really long and they all run together, but I'm pretty sure that we had posted and published that story today. It's amazing co-working space for women in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, that I didn't even know about, which is crazy because I've been doing entrepreneur work and stuff in this space for, a while, and they've been there for 2 years. I found them online because I needed somewhere where I could shoot some videos, because we're expanding and I needed a really cool place. The green screen's great, but there's a lot of extra editing that goes into that, and I just want to make these as easy as possible. So I went in there, and it's like amazing, affordable, it's beautiful, like these, I was just like blown away. And so not only am I using this space for myself as needed, but I had to do a story about them because the place is so beautiful. Like, go after this live stream is over sometime and watch the video about this place. And as I went there, I felt like I was plugged into like the female entrepreneur community a little bit, in Tulsa a little bit, I would say. I have, especially through Beta Blocks, I know a lot of great female entrepreneurs and male. I felt like I was pretty plugged into this community, but then I like go to this Co-working Bravely, and it's this whole other community of like female entrepreneurs. And I stopped by this event last night to like film, and it was like packed, and it was just a beautiful thing to like see all these women just like lifting each other up. And so that, was a really awesome thing. They have we just go check out Timea. Like, there's so many awesome stories, and my voice isn't gonna last that long. But there is Muskogee Media this month. The Muskogee Nation, they like voted to make free press a part of their constitution, which is, I mean, we as an independent or even a news organization in general at all, we're not really allowed to have opinions on things. I mean, yeah, we have the general opinion like murder is bad, and uh, other things that I'm not going to really get into are wrong to do. That's like very, black and white for the most part, more so than other things. But free press to me is something that I can have definitely an opinion on because it's so important. It's like the whole reason we do what we do is to inform people without being, you know, censored or threatened or retaliated against, and just be able to say the truth and inform people no matter what it is, good or bad. And so we definitely support free press everywhere. And so I personally was very happy that the Muskogee Nation had this historical move to do that for themselves. Um, Not in Timea, but Strut Fashion Play came back to Tulsa, and we did a story on that. It had massive support, and I was out of town, sick on vacation, so I couldn't go. But watch the video basically that we did that highlighted this story of their amazing comeback and what they're trying to do, and it's just amazing. And so I was really happy to be a part of that and to know the people behind that. But there's just so many stories that I really love telling and feel like, they're very beneficial for you to know about, and, what uh, people are doing in the community. And, everyone has, for the most part, I think, struggles, obstacles, things that they've overcome, and knowing those things and talking about those things um, really makes all of us stronger. And, I just love like breaking the mold and, getting outside of tradition and how things have always, you know, happened and been done. Because I feel like go back far enough and you'll find no, things weren't always done that way. I don't want to, I feel like I'm a optimistic person and a positive person, but sometimes I can get a little bit cynical. And when I feel that start happening, I'm like, oh, I don't want to, um, you know, be cynical about people like, in power and, with just like the human condition and kind of what happens when people get like money and power. Um, but if I ever get cynical, that's why, because I feel like people that have money and power, aren't always led with the best intentions, and that they maybe are selfish. So I feel like, when we're talking about how things are the way that they are and how, like, traditionally they stay that way or how they've been, I feel like that's why, because people in power got greedy or, selfish, and they kind of let their own egos take the wheel as opposed to like the greater good. But sorry for that cynical, hopefully somewhat still optimistic tangent. um, but one thing that I definitely wanted to do here tonight was kind of prepare you for something. And it took me a long time to come to this conclusion. And it took a lot of different people saying a lot of different things um, about like getting to know me on a personal level, or, and like I was always someone that, kind of pushed back on that. I never been someone who like, I feel like, posts a million selfies a day or, is constantly talking about themselves. I feel like I serve better when I'm kind of like behind the scenes. Oh, my throat's closing. It's a mixture of being sick and uncomfortable. Um, But yeah, I had always heard like, hey, to be a journalist, you need to like put yourself out there. You need to open up and let people know about you. But I was just never, I mean, I did sometimes, but I never saw the importance of it. I was like, that's, they don't need, that's my life. That's me, that, they don't need that or whatever. I'll just give my news and go on with my life. But I have I'm gonna ask my tech guy for a cough drop, AKA husband. Cough, drop, help. We'll see how long it takes him to get in here. That was quick. I can hear him coming. But like I said before, I'm asking a lot from you. I'm asking you to trust me. I'm asking you to believe me. And now, with how much distrust there is in news, with good reason, how much, misinformation and disinformation, like what's the difference? Misinformation misinforms, whereas disinformation, thank you, intentionally dissuades you. And there's a lot of both of that out there. So why should you trust me and believe what I say? And even on Facebook, like I post, some stuff like, hey, we're a new network, independent, we care about important issues. We care about telling the real story and diving deep into complex issues. And I got a lot of pushback, like, I don't believe you, or let's see, or like all these like, really dramatic answers. And there's a lot of drama there, well deserved. But I'm still not comfortable. Like, I'm still not comfortable opening up to the whole world about my life. Like, obviously, I'm married. I have a 2-year-old. I care about women, entrepreneurs, minorities, the truth. But that's all like really surface, I feel like. And so I'm going to do an experiment. And this is a very long roundabout way of telling you about it. So hopefully it hasn't been too painful. And it's doing like hard stories about justice involved women, hard stories about domestic abuse, hard stories about kids that, experience trauma, neglect, abuse. Those are the stories that I'm really drawn to, and that are incredibly hard to tell. I am very empathetic, and that makes me a good storyteller. But it's also incredibly hard to be a storyteller, emotionally and mentally, because I feel way more than you would think telling these stories and speaking with these men and women and sharing them. I speak with these people, and their stories just like wrap around my heart. And I think that's important. And I think it's important. And even I have wondered before, should I keep being a storyteller? Should I keep doing news? And then I'm like, it's tearing me apart. And for what? Who's listening? Who cares? These stories aren't going viral. These stories aren't, being heard from one side of the country to another, and creating all of this change that, that I dream of happening, but I will never stop doing it because the people that I interview and the people that I help through telling their story and getting the word out there, and these issues, these complex issues that a lot of people may not understand if they haven't been directly affected by something, that is what keeps me in. And just meeting someone who's like, no one will help me. No one will help me. No one cares about my story. But even if these stories don't get a million views, and even if they don't go viral, I care. I care about these stories. And I feel like there's a lot of people who also care, but that they haven't seen these stories yet. That's why we're trying to be more vocal on YouTube and on Substack, and why we're doing this whole Patreon thing. I'm not gonna lie, I keep going back to this one story that we've been working on for a long time, and it's the story of April Wilkins. And if you're on our social media or followed anywhere, you've seen that we have done some promotion telling you about this story, that essentially she has been in prison for more than 20 years. She was sentenced to life for killing her abuser. I don't have a trigger warning or anything like that, so I'm not going to go too terribly deep into it. But, this woman had protective orders against the man that was abusing her, taped confessions of the abuse and other things that happened to her by his hand, that he acknowledged and said he apologized for. He was arrested outside of her house with a loaded gun. He terrorized her for months. And he was rich, and he was from a very powerful family here in Tulsa, and his dad is a millionaire, and so that matters, and that matters as far as justice is concerned. And despite all the evidence, medical evidence, witness testimony, documentation, the state failed her big time, and the DA said that she wasn't a victim, despite all of these things that happened, and the police department and other avenues leaving her to essentially be killed. She ended up killing her abuser, and she's been in prison ever since. And she's forgotten about in there. I talk with her on the phone. I talk to her every week. Talk about ironic. I missed her phone call last week because I was finishing editing her story. So I feel bad about that. But she calls me every Friday, and we talk, and yeah, she has a couple advocates. One is a family, and then her friend, and then some legal advocacy for the first time ever. I think 23 years she's been in there. But yeah, it's people in the local media won't touch telling, other than us, telling her story, because the father of the man who she killed is still, for the last 2-3 decades, one of the biggest supporters of or advertisers rather of the local media. And so when that's your main source of revenue and advertising, you don't tell stories that they won't like. So lucky for me, we don't have a whole bunch of money coming in yet. We're waiting on you to fund our local news and support us through our Substack and our Patreon. But talking with her, it's been a hard reminder. And sometimes when I look at stories for so long, I'm like, is this newsworthy? Am I telling this well? How good is this? It's kind of like any other art. Like you look at it for so long and you're like, I don't love it, or, but like with her, I am shocked and like disgusted and enraged, and all of these emotions every time, never fails. So this story is incredible. And there's a bunch of other stories out there like that, of injustice that no one's telling. And people don't know about her and other, stories because they're not being told. Um, so that's what keeps me going. And kind of getting back into my uncomfort zone, I really want you to relate to me. And I really want you to turn to us for your local news and to trust us, and to not, be thinking if we have these ulterior motives. Um, and I feel like in order to do that, I have to be open in a way that I have never been open before and have never really allowed myself to even like process or understand. Like journalism was, it's been a job. It's been something you know, I went to when I was in college. I really kind of developed my passion, um, for this career. Um, and ever since, I've gravitated towards helping people through journalism. But only recently, when I was kind of dealing with this story of, this so traumatic story, and it's like, why are you putting yourself through this? Um, yeah, it's helping this one woman and other women who are affected by how the Oklahoma laws target women and benefit abusers. Uh, but I was thinking, like, why won't I ever leave? What is like my mission? What is like keep driving me, to not give up? And the answer is pretty deep, and it's pretty intimate, and it's pretty like soul bearing. So I'm really excited to, in a way, be so open, but I'm not going to just be open, you know, for nothing. Not like, it would be nothing, like, all for nothing, like to just, you know, bare my soul. I feel like it would have benefit no matter what, but I want to make sure that the people that are hearing like my soul laid out so that, um, I can earn their trust are our verified news leaders. And so I want to kind of hop back over so that you can, again, kind of touch on, uh, everyone watching. If you're watching this right now, if you've hung in for whatever, almost an hour, you're a part of our verified news community, and I'm very happy that you are here, being a part of this. But there's a difference. There's our verified newsies and our verified news leaders. And so our verified news leaders, they're subscribed to our premium newsletter, that is through Substack, but it's also offered as a tier on our Patreon. Um, and then there's another level where you guys can, if you're the verified news leaders on Patreon, you get to be part of exclusive Q&As and calls. But the biggest thing, that you will see, on our Patreon, which I'm going to be starting next month, is essentially a diary. And so that is everything that you would imagine a diary being. It's very open, very vulnerable. Um, and so that level, if you were looking to kind of be on that level, I want to make, like, I am 100% sure that I am doing this, but I want to make sure that the people who are watching this, and kind of really hearing these things about myself, about why I'm a journalist and what drives me and why I'm so passionate, that they are truly verified news leaders. They truly care about the call, the mission, what we're doing, helping people. They really care about news and information that's local and important and diving deep into complex issues. Um, and so I want to say that is, and I might even update it. Right now it's $9 a month to get that exclusive content. But honestly, I'm thinking I might lower that to 7. And that's because I think 7's a luckier number. But also, that's a good chunk of change. And maybe I'll go more in depth with what I am gonna disclose as far as what drives me and why journalism is so important to me, and my big whys. And it's gonna be pretty shocking. And this is really personal stuff, and so that's why I feel like 100% okay, just having the people who uh, you know, really care about our work and our whys and helping people. I'll, give you a hint. It does have a lot to do, as I mentioned before, with trauma, abuse, neglect, being justice involved, domestic violence. All of these things are things that I'm going to be talking about in this diary type um, Patreon exclusive content, and that's going to be starting in October. Like I said, it's gonna be really deep, and I want you all to be plugged into it. So feel free to sign up, and I'm gonna be talking um, about it in future live streams. Like, I'm not gonna not talk about my why ever, and like, oh, my why is so secret, it's only for Patreon uh, patrons that pay for it. But that all of this money that comes in, it supports stories like April Wilkins. Like, I will do this for nothing until uh my husband would not want to hear that, and he's listening right now. But I would do it for nothing forever until the last story is told, until people stopped coming to me and saying, please help me, no one cares, no one knows, we don't know what to do, we need to get our story out, we need help, we need answers. I would keep doing it, but unfortunately the time, I have bills to pay, and I have a child to feed, and all that stuff. So the more stories uh, we can tell, the better, and they need to be funded and paid. And the more funding I have coming in, the more time that I can spend on telling stories and researching stories and finding what the problems community members are facing and help solve them, through solutions journalism, or even just getting the word out there for them. But everything will be in the Patreon, but I'll touch on it in live streams and stuff. So you may be like, oh, wait, she mentioned this. Like, where did that come from? All the real deep dive diary entries will give you a lot of insight. And I'll talk about, and maybe I'll have some of the people that I, have helped in the past too. And just kind of like have them, sharing, what this stuff has meant to them, because we have a lot of testimonials about, people that we've helped, and literally, lives that have been changed through the stories that we tell. But I'm really amazed that my voice has lasted this long. To be 100% honest, I'm very grateful that we had a successful stream. Like I said, every week I wanna do them every Wednesday, 8:30 is the plan. But we're just gonna have to see. I certainly appreciate, and I'm gonna do this right after I log off, is change this to be updated to 7 a month. So if you want to get to know me on the most intimate level of like just getting like the same level I'm on, just getting to know myself and like, wow, this is why you're so passionate about journalism and this is why you're so passionate about helping. And maybe there's other journalists out there that have the same passion and the same whys, but man, I hope not, because it comes from a very dark and hurtful, full of hurt place, but also a lot of joy. This is, I could never imagine doing anything else because I love helping people, and I love being able to kind of let these stories be told through me, kind of as a vessel for just getting this news and information out there where it's needed most. And so just want to say thank you. Thank you for hanging in. It's let me know if it's too late for you. But if you want to hop on over to our Substack and check out the stuff that I was talking about, verifiednews.substack.com. And then Patreon is patreon.com/VNN. Let me know. I love feedback and comments and such. So I haven't had anyone leave any comments. Comments are hard. Emails are hard. Feedback is really hard, but I want it. And I want us to have a conversation. So, be here. And I guess I'll see you next Wednesday. Follow us if you happen to just stumble upon us. I'd love to hang out with you every Wednesday. If Wednesday doesn't work, you can just follow up the next day or so. I'm always looking for feedback, as I said. And let us know what other stuff you want to see on our YouTube channel and what other stories you want to see in our communities. I'm in Oklahoma. We have active journalists, the most active journalists in Michigan and New York right now, but we also have journalists in Massachusetts, Texas, and Alabama, and we're expanding very soon. So yeah, that's our Wednesday live stream, the last one in September. I'll see you next month. It's going to be a crazy month. So you better watch this story because it is crazy. All right, well, I'm Brittany Harlow, VNN. Thank you so much, everyone in our Verified News community that is watching and interacting, our Verified Newsies and our Verified News leaders. We literally cannot do this without you. You make us better. And we're so looking forward to just continuing on this journey together. You guys have a great night, morning, afternoon, evening. And figure out how to, there we go.